Welcome to Southwest. I'm Anusha, Ravi, Sood, and with us today we have Mr. Jairam Ramesh, who heads communication for AICC. Voting for Telangana Assembly election is less than a week away, and Mr. Jairam Ramesh is going to engage in a conversation with Southwest on not just Telangana election, but the Congress's plans across the country. Let us understand how crucial these elections are for you, not just Telangana, but as we speak, Rajasthan has already started voting. Yeah. There are two more big states that have already voted. There is Mizoram. Given that these are crucial elections in the run-up to 24, how important are the results?
Well, every election is a very significant moment for a political party, especially for a political party that is on the comeback trail. We've had a string of reverses, and we don't occupy the dominant hegemonic position in Indian politics that we used to a couple of years ago. So we are on the comeback trail. We won Himachal handsomely, we won Karnataka handsomely, and we are expecting to do exceedingly well in these four states. Mizoram is a small state, there's 40 seats, there are 3 political parties, 2 of which happen to be regional parties. So I'm a little cautious as far as Mizoram is concerned. But I can certainly say that in Telangana, in Chhattisgarh, in Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan, 2 of these states we are in power, and even though we are the incumbent government, the work of the governments over the last 5 years and on the strength of the guarantees that we are offering to the people, I can say fairly confidently that we are returning to power. In the 2 states where we are not in power, where we are in opposition now, Madhya Pradesh and Telangana, we are very confident that the sentiment is very much against the party in power, because the promises that have been made by the party in power, both in Madhya Pradesh as well as in Telangana, have simply not been fulfilled. So I'm really looking at, if you look at these 4 states, I'm looking at a 4-0 result for the Congress.
Ever since the campaigns, or let's just say, ever since the discussion over these elections have taken space for mainstream media, whether it is in political discussions or in media discussions, do you think the entire initiative to bring all opposition parties together as the India bloc has taken a back seat? I mean, that is the criticism that the Congress faces.
Taken a back seat, right. But frankly speaking, the 2 dominant parties in 3 states were the BJP and the Congress, right? In Madhya Pradesh, it was BJP versus Congress, Chhattisgarh, BJP versus Congress, Rajasthan, BJP versus Congress. Here, of course, is Congress versus the BRS. So, and in Mizoram is the welter of parties, so basically 2 regional parties and the Congress. I don't want to neglect Mizoram, maybe only 40, it was a very important election in Mizoram. So, you know, in the national media, Mizoram doesn't occupy any space whatsoever, but it should. It's also a state, which is right next to Manipur, so very significant in many ways. We can discuss that later. But the point is that the question that you asked, our entire attention and energy of the leadership and the workers, organization was focused on these elections. You know, these were exceedingly critical for us. And we believe that the result of these elections will actually strengthen the India alliance. The India alliance cannot be strengthened with a weak Congress. You know, if people assume that Congress space should shrink so that the India space can increase, that's a completely mistaken and unacceptable notion for the Congress party.
But was it disappointing to you that out of all your India alliance bloc leaders, it was only the DMK that endorsed the party here in Telangana?
But there's no presence of the India parties, no. The TMC
I understand, but Mr. Akhilesh Yadav is providing resource.
TMC has no presence in this. Yeah, Akhilesh Yadav has fielded some candidates. Yeah, I mean, there was some.
Aam Aadmi Party has fielded candidates.
Aam Aadmi Party candidate has fielded. Yeah, I mean, but the fact of the matter is the serious contest, the real serious contest for forming the government is between the BJP and the Congress in 3 of the states, and between the BJP, the Congress and the BRS in Telangana. So for us, these are absolutely crucial. These are bread and butter elections, so to speak, as far as we are concerned. But I feel that these election results will not only strengthen the Congress party, but will actually lead to a strengthening of the India alliance.
You spoke about the guarantees, and I'm glad you brought it up. In Karnataka, of course, you've attempted to implement 4 out of your 5 guarantees. In Telangana, you've put together 6 guarantees. Other than it's a 2-part question. First of all, given even in Karnataka, which is a revenue surplus state, the financial difficulties of implementing these guarantees are huge. In Telangana, liabilities are already up quite high. In a state like this, given additional guarantees, do you really think it is fiscally prudent or even possible to implement these guarantees as you have promised to people?
See, you need schemes, you need programs, you need these guarantees because people are groaning under the burden of ever-increasing price rise, growing unemployment, rising income inequalities. And so I think it becomes a moral duty, it becomes a moral obligation to put the guarantees first and find the resources later. It's very easy to say this is my budget, this is the amount of money I have, and this is what I'm going to spend on. And that's an accountant bean counting approach. But political parties, especially political parties who are sensitive to people's concerns and needs, have to be more than accountants, more than bean counters. And so therefore, this idea of guarantees was born. The guarantees would not have been necessary if gas cylinder, oil prices were coming down, gas cylinder prices were, pegged at 500 rupees or 600 rupees, as the case may be. If the job situation was not as alarming as it is, in a state like Telangana, we have the highest youth unemployment rate of 15% compared to a national average of 10%. We wouldn't have needed these guarantees if all the investments that are coming into the state had not gone only to one small enclave around the Nehru Outer Ring Road, in the precincts of Hyderabad. So, what's the background to these guarantees? These guarantees are basically modalities and instruments for reaching relief to crores of families, women, to farmers, to youth, to the old age, the destitute, because they are really groaning under the burden of price rise, unemployment and income equality. So the job of the government is to find the resources. The job of a political party is to make the guarantees. The job of the government is to find the resources.
They're very clearly demarcating the roles and responsibilities of a government and party, which brings me to the second part of the question.
As
a party,
in Karnataka, by the way. This is what we are doing in Karnataka. So, so if we had asked the question, is it fiscally prudent? We could write thesis on, what is fiscal prudence and so on. So, I think, you first have to recognize what do people need.
Right.
And put that at the center, at the core of your program. And then find the resources. The same questions were asked. I remember when the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act was passed and introduced in 2006. We found the resources. We're spending 60,000-70,000 crores a year.
The same was asked when Nyaya was announced as well.
National Food Security Act was announced in 2013. Where is the country going to find 1,30,000? Country found 1,30,000 crores. So a country that is growing at 7% per year surely can generate the resources, in a manner that enables the fulfillment of these guarantees.
A big part of your guarantees are also schemes that appeal specifically to women.
Yes.
You also have your, in Telangana, you have your BC declaration, minority declaration, etc. But do you not see or acknowledge a gap in your own party's ecosystem where there is a vacuum, where there is a gap in, say, women leadership or Muslim leadership? In your, the number of candidates that you fielded are woefully low as compared to a party which was led by a woman, not so past in history, not so...
Well, let me remind you that the last UP election that was held, we had 40% of our candidates were women. So we did make a conscious effort. Our General Secretary then, Priyanka Gandhi, made a conscious effort, and 40% of the candidates were women. Yeah, it's true that in the states that are going to the polls now, between 12 to 15% of the candidates are women, and we can't take consolation in the fact that other parties, are on par or lower than us. That's not an excuse. But yes, we need to develop leadership amongst women. Now, of course, Parliament has passed the law, and the next general election, the next round of assembly elections will probably see 1/3 reservation for women. And you're right, it's not just women, it's also women belonging to the weaker sections, minorities, OBCs and so on. These are continuing endeavors of political parties. So I think could we have done better? Yeah, I think we could have, but at the same time, I think one has to recognize that leadership building takes time. Identifying people, giving them opportunities, and making them winnable candidates. Ultimately, political parties exist not for simply putting up candidates, but some parties exist only for putting up candidates, But serious political parties exist for not only putting up candidates, but for ensuring their victory,
Since you head communications for AICC, there is a marked change in the way you're approaching issues, topics. Your conversations on social media have changed. Your leaders are mainstreaming what could have earlier, take for example the very latest trend of Panoti. It's very rare that somebody like, say, Mr. Rahul Gandhi says it out in a public rally. As much as there is discussion around it, do you worry that something similar in the run-up to 2014 elections or 2019 elections, whether it was the Chaiwala comment or whether it was the Chaukidar, did not work in your favor? Do you worry that while there is a market change in the way you're approaching issues, that it could also backfire if personal remarks are passed against a leader as popular as the Prime Minister?
Well, I would contest that statement, leader as popular as the Prime Minister.
Are you contesting his popular?
Contesting his popularity, because if he was as popular as he is, he wouldn't resort to the defamation and the insults and the abuse that he hurls on his political opponents, Mr. Rahul Gandhi included. So I don't see these as, if you bring out the personality characteristics of a person, I don't see that as an insult. I see that as bringing the truth to the public. When I call the Prime Minister the Jagat Guru of Jhoot, and I call him a pathological liar, I'm not insulting him. I'm bringing out the truth in front of the people. It's a fact. He's a pathological liar. When I say that he suffers from a narcissistic personality disorder, I'm bringing out the truth. So, as a job of a communicator, I have to communicate what the truth is. And this is the truth that I see it, and a lot of people see it. So, I think the Prime Minister, I'm sorry to say, this Prime Minister has been given too much of a free pass by the media. And he's being allowed to get away by saying a lot of nonsense about his opponents. And he should be called out. And he is being called out.
Is there a market change in the Congress, in say, after Mr. Kharge has taken over as the president? If you were able to line out, how different is the Congress?
No, Mr. Kharge's taking over as president is certainly a watershed moment in our political history. He brings extraordinary experience. He brings a great story of social empowerment and social justice, and brings years of ministerial experience. So he's a great election campaigner. In all these states, he's campaigned. He's multilingual.
Right.
Speaks Marathi, he speaks Urdu, gets by in Telugu, Hindi is fluent, English. So he's a great asset. I mean, he's a great asset. I think he's an inspirational figure. Yes, it's a great moment for the Congress party that a person like him got elected as the Congress president.
What seems to be working for you in Telangana?
In Telangana?
Yes.
I think in Telangana, first of all, I think the situation today in Telangana is much different than what it was, say, a year ago. Right. The Congress, it was seen to be a BJP BRS fight, with the Congress coming distant.
That may be the perception, never the reality, to be fair.
That was the mahol.
Yes.
That was the sort of, media generated hype. Right. Certainly. Yeah. And generally self-confidence was low, people were leaving us, and so a year ago, 15 months ago, the situation was very different. But I think the Bharat Jodo Yatra was a decisive turning point, The Karnataka elections, neighboring state after all, was a decisive turning point. And people who left us are coming back. People who were not with us are coming back. And the Congress today, and the BJP is just sort of, Prime Minister, I'll use the Prime Minister's word. The Prime Minister said Rajasthan will become Chumantar. So, he has become Chumantar in Telangana. BJP has simply disappeared, So, many things have gone right for us, starting with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, followed by the Karnataka election, and also by, in my view, a recognition by everybody in Telangana that a collective effort is needed. It's not an individual who's going to win the election for us, but it's going to be a collective enterprise which is going to win this for us. So today, that's what gives me the confidence that we will have the majority when the elections take place on the 30th of November.
But do you acknowledge that very senior leaders of your party making public statements of how they are in their front runners to be the chief minister, even before polling has taken place, is denting your prospects?
These are all natural, everybody wants to be the front runner.
Right.
But there is a system in the Congress. We never announce our chief ministerial candidate before the elections. Even a great figure like Rajshekar Reddy was not projected as chief minister in 2004. In 2009, of course, he was a sitting chief minister, so a different issue. Right. The Congress party never does this. It only did it in 2017 when Amrinder Singh was projected as chief minister. And of course, he left the party subsequently. So our system is different.
Right.
Our system is, we have a collective leadership. We fight the election. We get a majority. The MLAs sit down. They have observers come from the High Command, and there's a discussion. Various factors are taken into account, and finally a decision is made. That's the way it should be. It has to be a consultative process. It has to be a participative process where everybody is listened to, and finally a decision gets taken. So, ambitions are natural. Everybody wants the top job. Ambitions are natural, but it's not the Congress practice to project a face. And number two, let me say that Indian elections are not about faces. Indian elections are about parties.
I suppose Mr. Modi will disagree with you completely.
You disagree with me?
Mr. Modi might disagree with you.
Mr. Modi may disagree with me completely, but it's a fact. It's a fact that we are a party-based democracy. The Constitution recognizes party democracy, party elections. Individuals, of course, represent parties, but parties have symbols, parties have manifestos, parties have ideologies, parties have programs, and ultimately when we go, we ask for the vote on behalf of the party. We are saying vote to the Congress, vote for the Congress. Right. I'm not saying there's a guarantee to one individual, these are Congress guarantees. Right? So, whereas Mr. Modi has made this Modi guarantees, this was not the case even when Mr. Vajpayee was Prime Minister. The degree of personalization of politics that Mr. Modi has effected is extraordinary. That even when he goes to Rajasthan and when he goes to Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, he says these are not BJP guarantees, these are Modi guarantees. And that's the Congress is never going to do. It has never done also.
My last question to you, this is way in the future for 2024. In the south, the three prominent Telugu parties, whether it is in Andhra or Telangana, are the only ones who have not aligned themselves with either you, the India bloc, or the NDA. Do you look at them as potential partners, given how prominent they are, given their presence cannot be ignored in these two states?
Well, in the last 9 years, all I can tell you is that all these three parties that you have mentioned, the TDP, the BRS and the YSRCP, have functioned basically as B teams of the BJP. They have danced to the tune of the BJP. Whatever the BJP wants, they have supported them on their bills. They have supported them whenever the voting is required in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. But in Indian politics, you can never say never, there are always places for compromise. And if the Congress, along with the India parties, does form the government in 2024, then I'm sure a lot of political parties which are either part of the NDA formally or are supporting the NDA informally may look for greener pastures, may look for, I'm not sure. One really can't say. But, I'm not banking on it happening. But the fact of the matter is that many regional parties, I'm making a general point now. I'm not making a point related to the election, but as a political student of Indian politics, I'm saying that, many political parties find it more convenient to ally with the power equation in the center. For example, I can tell you confidently, that if there is a Congress government in the center, all the regional parties in the northeast will become part of our alliance. All of them. There is no question about it. In Jammu and Kashmir, the two big regional parties are already part of the India alliance. They are already part of the India alliance. So there is a certain logic. The greater the dependence that you have on the center, the greater is the probability that you will end up supporting whichever the party is at the center. So I can't say, you're raising an interesting question. What will happen with these three political parties who are right now Trishanku? They are neither with the NDA nor with the India alliance. How they will behave? My sense is that they will go with the winner.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to engage with you in a conversation.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Jairam Ramesh for South First.